Well, I know you probably all know this stuff, but we're going to check out the wheel bearings. I know by moving the wheel this way that the tie rod ends and the ball joints are quite fine, but if I move the wheel this way, it has a bit of play. I don't know if you can see that, it's just moving a bit. So I'm going to take the wheel off and check the bearings. Right, the first thing we do is undo this bolt here, and there's another one down there off the brake calipers, and try and slide the brake caliper off the disc or rotor. Then tie it up with a piece of wire or something. Now we take off the grease cover here, which I'll do. We get an Allen key, about 6mm I think, undo the Allen head screw there, and then we undo the lock nut off here and pull the washer off. So you undo that, undo the lock nut, pull the washer off and slide the disc off, and here it is slid off. And now I'm going to pull the bearings off the inner nut like that, flip it over, do the same on the other side, pull out the oil seal on the other side, pull out the oil seal and slide that bearing out. The inners stay there, and if you want to change the bearings we're going to have to punch them out. Okay, I've washed the bearings. This is the inner one and it seems quite fine and everything's lovely. This is the outer bearing, and I don't know if you can see this. Sure, it runs fine, feels fine, but if you look up close you can see the rollers are pitted. Can you see that? I'll bring it in. See? The rollers are pitted. So I have a bearing set. I'm not going to muck around and just change one. I'm going to change both the bearings and the seal, of course. Now what I'm going to do is knock the inners out, and I have a bronze dolly and I'm going to put it down there and get the edge of that outer bearing and knock it out. Right, I've tapped the inner and the outers out. The outer was quite a bit of a bugger to get out, but finally I managed to tap it out. Now I'm going to tap in the new inner and outers for the new bearings. Right, I've tapped in the outer part of the bearing for the outer bearing. I'll flip it over, and now I'm going to tap in the part for the inner bearing. Like, goes in like this. Okay, the inner bearing is now down home, and so what I'm going to do now is get some grease, Axle grease. It's high quality, high temperature, and we get the grease and we rub it in between the rollers, make sure it's worked in those rollers. Okay, I've packed my bearing, I rolled it around to make sure the grease got in the rollers and everything. Whoops, hang on. And zoomed in on me. And now I'm going to put just tap the oil seal in like so. I'll just tap that in. But what we're going to do is pick this disc up and put it on the hub. And now I'm going to grease up the outer bearing. The disc is on the hub over yonder waiting for me, and I'll grease this up, put the washer on, and then screw up the lock nut. Right, you pull your lock nut up tight, which it is, and you'll see the disc is firm and solid. What you do is you get the nut and you back it off one, whoops, I'll do it with, anyway, you get that nut and you back it off 1/3 of a turn. Okay, we tightened up the little locking screw there, the caliper. The disc is, you can move it, but it's tight and firm. And now we get the grease cap and we half fill that with grease and tap that on. And I won't bore you with the rest of it. Then we get the brake caliper here, put it back on, and I'll take it for a test drive.
Well, before I took the car for a test drive, I gave the wheel a wiggle again while it was up on the stand, and it had no play whatsoever. And of course it was fine. I have to apologise for calling the outers of the bearings inners and confusing everybody. What's in the actual disc is the outer of the bearings, but other than that, I think you all get the gist of it. Okay, see you next time.